we all are.
We don't say something
Should be
stupid.
like that.
I know.
Let's just sit here and be
part of
Like,
put the tables on the back of the room so we can sit down there. See, on the right side, I'm gonna make that a law enforcement committee meeting tomorrow night. Meals on Tuesday. We'll make sure that to be.
They were, I don't appreciate
Well, see, that's the thing, the travel gets on you when you're doing it, but if you get out of it, don't do it for a while, you wish you could travel. Like in the military, this basically, like a better word, is a super sleep squad. So he's always going for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. Even on short, it's going. I said, God, I can't ever stay home, which is why I retired early. And now I'm like, it was fun going to 33 countries around the world, Fiji, Tahiti, it's just all over the place. Norway.
Okay, I have 7 o'clock, we'll call our meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of work session of the county commission. Main purpose of this is to go over the agenda, make sure that we have any questions anyone has answered before we get into our meeting next week. You should have copies of the agenda. First, Sheriff will open the court for us. Our invocation this month is by Jerry Ford. Pledge to the flag will be by Linda Sue Johnson. Ms. Crowder will do our roll call. Then we'll approve the minutes for the September 23rd commission meeting. You should have them in your packet. As we look those over, does anybody see anything that needs to be corrected in those at this time? Okay, don't see anything. Got a few announcements that we'll have. The Tennessee County Services Administration Fall Conference is October 29th through the 31st. That's Tuesday through Thursday. Several of the commissioners are going and the mayor is going. We'd like to try to expedite our Monday night meeting as best we can because several of us are driving up that night after that meeting. So we'll try to keep that in the back of our minds if you don't mind. There's a commission dinner that's hosted by the Board of Education every year, and that's scheduled for November the 4th. It will be at the elementary school again this year. They want to give us kind of a tour and show the improvements that have been made in the last renovations there. So that's on November the 4th.
What time was that?
6 o'clock. I would allow probably an hour and a half, 2 hours. Yeah, I think Dr. Satterfield plans to make a bit of a presentation, I think. Also, on November the 12th, Kimley Horn will be at the community center to present a draft concept to the public and to the Parks and Recreation Committee on the proposals for the city park. Is that correct?
What time is it? I ain't got a time on it.
The public, looking at the concepts, it's actually gonna be done in 2 blocks. The first one's gonna be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then there's gonna be a meeting of the steering committee, which is like the Little League and other groups that use the park. That'll be from 1 to 2 p.m. And then it'll be available again to the public, which the public can attend the steering committee, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And then hope to have Parks and Rec at 6 p.m.
Everyone have that?
So they will be available at the 6 o'clock meeting too,
Yes, sir, I already talked about them, and that was the date we lined up. They should be available all day as long as anybody needs them, and be there for the Parks and Recreation. We hope And if the committee is agreeable, we'll have that at the community center, cause that's where all their stuff will be set
Yeah,
up.
leave that.
Anyone have any other announcements? Anything else that needs to be announced? If anything comes up, we'll be sure and add them. Any amendments to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I got to looking over the agenda earlier today, and I apologize for not catching this earlier. The appointment of the county, or the Charter Review Commission has to be by ordinance under the charter at section 1403. I went back and looked, there was a vote to have the committee established in 2006. However, at that time, they did not do it by ordinance, and I believe Ms. Crowder has looked and she couldn't ever find an ordinance establishing that she couldn't find any ordinance establishing that commission, so we need to make sure we do that this time to make sure we meet the requirements of the charter.
So are you going to have an ordinance to do that this month, or are you gonna put it off until?
At this point, I still have 3 places to meet, and I've had a problem getting people to fill it at this point. I can try to have it, but I can't guarantee I'll have them at this point.
But it will be by an ordinance, would be adding an ordinance.
Yes, sir, you have, by ordinance, establish the committee, and then I can make the appointments to the county commission, and they could affirm or reject them at the time.
Okay, as we go through our agenda, the citizen's response to the agenda, we'll ask for anyone to sign in that would like to speak to anything on the agenda. And the mayor, is there anything you want to cover tonight as far as your report, other than that?
I'll just do it real briefly. I'm gonna cover the landfill. Basically, I did give the notice to proceed to the contractor on that. They've been out the site, kind of staking it off, doing surveys on it to show where the drainage and everything's gonna go, and then hopefully they'll move into the construction phase soon. They said that from the time I gave them notice to end of construction should be 5 weeks. We will have to ask for an extension from Tennessee Department of Environment Conservation, but they said as long as we were making progress on it, that there would be no problem extending it. And from what I've been told by Roundabout, they've been very happy with the progress we've made in the amount of time we've done it. So I don't think there'd be a problem getting an extension on that. The second one is a streetscape. There's to be a pre-construction meeting in my office on the 25th at 10 a.m. and that is to meet with various departments of the county government and the contractor, so we can see exactly how this is going to affect traffic flow and other issues that may come up. Go over that with the contractor, make sure everyone's on the same page about what the plan is going forward. And the tentative start date is still November 1st. I haven't heard anything to change that, so we're still looking to start construction on November 1st. And I guess I could have put this in the announcements. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. I'm hosting a homeless forum on October 28th from 8 to 10 a.m. at the community center. This is to get regional groups that work in our area to come to the county and meet with our local groups, and hopefully we can coordinate and see what resources are available to our local groups, and then come up with resources for a homeless population or those facing homelessness. There are some federal programs and things available, and we have to go through these regional groups to really access those. So I'm hoping we can have that meeting and everyone sees what the resources are out there, and hopefully we can have a local program or something going forward on that. It will need to be done through nonprofits or other civic organizations. There are no county governments or city governments that really go through these. It's all through nonprofits, so I'm hoping to get that coordinated so everybody knows who they need to talk to and how we can get that worked out, and hopefully this will be a kickoff of those efforts going forward.
And that date and time again?
It is October the 28th, so it should be the Monday of the county commission meeting. This will be earlier in the day from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
And the time?
8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
And that's at your office?
No, that's at the community center.
Community center.
Okay. And work is progressing on the county's website. They're about done with the construction phase, and they're actually getting ready to start doing training for various departments. I actually have to send out that email now that I've got the time kind of parameters down with the contractor doing the website. I'm going to send out the email to the various departments and asking them to pick one person to be the administrator / editor of their website. So each department will be able to change the content on their particular web page. And we don't have a date and time for that yet. I still got to send out that email. Just got the dates and times of the time that the contractor will be available. So I got to send those out and hopefully get some feedback on that, and we'll establish that date. And that's, really all I have in my report.
Have you paid anything on that yet? You just set it up in payments, have you paid any?
We have paid, we made 2 payments on that as I go through the construction of it. I think we made 2 payments on that. And then we'll get the final until after all the training, everybody signed off on the website, then they'll get the final payment.
Thanks. Next item we have down is the county schools report. Dr. Satterfield is on vacation this week. I met with him, had a nice long meeting with him, last week, and he does not have this report ready at this time. Since he's out of time, he's not gonna be able to have it prepared for a meeting next Monday night. So he asked if we put it off until the November meeting, and I reluctantly agreed to do that. So we'll plan to have that on the November meeting, so that will not happen this month. Then we'll go into committee reports. The committees that I have that have met, Budget and Finance met tonight. There's several. Jerry, would you like to go over what we did in Budget and Finance?
We basically just reviewed, most of the things that's coming up in front of you. One of the things we did do was put off the ambulance services request for $38,000 until next month. Because there was some unanswered questions there, and the committee felt like that it really should be looking at a 4-wheel drive truck instead of a 2-wheel drive. This also gives time to find out how much the truck will cost instead of $38,000. So that was put off, and about all the interdepartmental transfers, everything there, we didn't have any problem with any of that. About all that's, everything was approved except the ambulance service fund. No problem with any of that.
I think all the budget amendments that we have on here, most of them are monies flowing in, they're receipts, they're grants, things of that nature, or there's some things that had to be recategorized that were missed in the budget, but no major expenditures coming out of any of those. We'll probably be able to actually dispense of all of those with just one vote. We'll get into that a little bit later on. County buildings, code, zoning enforcement met on September the 24th. I'll go into that report. I don't have those minutes with me right now, so if you don't mind, we'll just skip that one. Have education oversight, met on October 10th.
Yes, had a good meeting with, Mr. Satterfield. He kind of filled us in where the school was, and everything seemed to be running good at the school. He did talk a little bit about next year. He's pretty sure he's gonna have to have another bus. So we'll just have to wait and see how that works out, and possibly another teacher, because he has got more population than he anticipated.
Executive committee, I'm sorry, question?
If we need another budget, is that gonna replace some of the budget, what do you mean?
He needs another one down in the west end of the county because of the growth.
It'd be another bus route.
He was right, really, yeah.
I think, we had a pretty large increase in student population this year. Over the last 2 years, it was, 100 plus in the last 2 years.
Several students, I don't know the exact number.
I know that they've hired 2 additional teachers already this year, a new kindergarten and another. So we're beginning to see the growth coming into the school system that we've been anticipating for some time. Yes, Mr. Ward.
Jerry, was that new bus on next year's budget?
Yeah, that'll be next year.
Is that gonna be an increase to his budget, or?
Well, he's not supposed to come back next year, if you
That's
remember.
exactly, that's what my point is.
Well,
The agreement he
we
made
that
was
once
he was
before
back
with him,
for
he
2
was
years.
supposed to come back to 2022, but he was back the next year. So if I had to guess, he'll be back next year. A bus is what, how many thousand, 38, or is it more than that? Maybe more than that.
Roughly
It's
100.
way up there.
100,000.
It's way on up there. But all that money he lost, he didn't lose. You can see he's still running $4 million, and he still ain't got much tax money in yet. He's got the money to do it.
executive committee met on October first.
Yeah, one of the biggest things we discussed the executive committee was, the wheel tax. I think it was pretty well the consensus of the committee that we, try to get the wheel tax reinstated before the other one runs out, which will have to be during an election, which will probably be sometime next year. Consensus was try to get that on the ballot, in order when the other one runs out, this one will kick in. Consensus is we can't afford to lose $350,000. The big thing there is, what are you gonna ear tag it for? And it was suggested 3 or 4 things, but I don't believe 3 or 4 things will ever pass. I also don't think that, it's gonna be hard to get it to pass, because I believe CCA out there is really gonna hurt it, because the million and something at, $1,585,000 that they've been paying the county, a lot of people's wondering where all that money went. And this year, according to the state, reappraisal, they dropped it $100,000. Many of you probably don't know that, but whatever they paid last year, it's $100,000 less this year. And why they did that, I don't know, maybe they can prove it, on as much there as everybody thought it was. That's pretty well where we were on that. We talked about a few other things, but nothing of any great consequences.
Law Enforcement Committee will meet tomorrow night at 7 o'clock here in this room. We're going to look at the, sound ordinances for the county and, drawing a blank. What was the other? The SRO officers. There's some confusion between the school board and the sheriff's department on some of that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit, see if we can get that ironed out, so it's not a disagreement anymore.
At 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. And we'll go into it in that committee meeting. I don't mind. I'm not trying to evade it. It's just a dispute on basically when the SRO officer's not in high school, whether they should be paying for them, they should be providing another officer some things. And we'll look at that and go over that tomorrow night. Purchasing oversight met tonight.
This prison oversight,
Purchasing oversight met tonight.
we met prison oversight, oh, okay, we'll do that one first.
I'm sorry.
We met, let's go back to prison oversight.
Okay, prison
We met
oversight,
October the
10th.
10th with, Mr. Washburn, and if you've never been to that meeting, you would enjoy coming and listening to what he has to tell you about the prison. Really update, I mean, I think he's doing a great job out there. Now, yeah, they had an incident this past month or so, a lady got stabbed and her eyes put out and all that. It's a serious thing, but, you know, when you get 2,500 people out there that are felons and convicted felons, and some of them worse than that, you're gonna have some problems from time to time. And I tell you, I think the man has come in and done a great job with it. And every time we meet, which is quarterly, we won't meet again in January, he comes in and he tells us what's happened, what they've done, changes that's been made, etc. And I know if you've been watching the news, you haven't seen much on there about CCA. Matter of fact, you haven't seen much on there this whole year about CCA, unless it's somebody else complaining about something. We're fortunate to have this man out there. We really are. He's doing a great job with it. And that's basically what we talked about. And then he usually brings a sheet showing us exactly where they stand on employees. He didn't do that this month. I think he said he was out of town and didn't get time to get worked up. But he still had a really good report. And it's an open meeting. You can ask him questions, and I haven't heard him avoid answering anything. So I would recommend to you, if you get a chance, come to that meeting one time. I think you'll enjoy it.
He also introduced a new assistant warden he got out there now.
Yes, he's got, what, 3 now? Is it 3?
Yeah, he'll
But
have
for
another,
instance, the wardens,
next time he has a meeting, he'll bring another one.
yeah, he will. Purchase and oversight, we met this afternoon and went over, different things that the county has to pay and what we paid really this first quarter. We didn't find anything out of the ordinary, anything that really threw up a flag. We have copies of that if any of you are interested in seeing, the things that get spent out of the mayor's office and, you name it, it's on there. Everything from AT&T to the Tri-County, the lights, you name it, it's on there. And we have to approve that. And, we didn't find anything out of the ordinary, so that's about all I can tell you about that report. We met at 5:30 this afternoon.
Were there any other committees that met that I didn't mention? Didn't have any indication that there were any others, but if there are, please, let me know. Moving on to active business, the appointments, the Charter Review Communications Commission, Charter Review Commission. The mayor's already explained that may need to be done by ordinance, and so we don't know whether we will or won't be doing that. Correct?
Yeah, do you want, just to clarify, if you want, we can go ahead and just do it in November, or do you want me to try to get those and let's put a date that if I don't have it by, let's say Thursday, then we'll put it in November, or however you want to proceed on that. I'm certainly going to try to have it in place, but I just can't guarantee that I will.
I mean, is there any pressing issues that they're needing to meet on in the next few weeks?
There's just a few things I think to clear up some of the language in the charter, but I don't think anything that's absolutely earth-shattering.
I think probably best just to try to tackle that in November, give you plenty of time and make sure that we're doing it by ordinance.
Okay.
But
And I will defer to Mr. Beller on this. He's arrived. If there's anything he knows of that maybe I'd forgotten about,
I said I'd be late. I didn't
No,
realize I was gonna be
I'm
this
just proud to hear.
We've had several discussions along those lines. I've spoke with Mr. Clarity, I've spoke with the mayor, and probably at some point we need to identify all the issues that need to be addressed. I think, Mr. Chairman, at some point you and I will have a meeting to discuss some of those. October is a little early for that. November would be better. It's gonna be a process, I can tell you that much, so. Much time as we can get will be much appreciated.
well, Mr. Chairman, based on what Mr. Beller just said, if it's all right with the commission, I'll just go ahead and save that for the November's meeting and do it at that time.
Anyone have any objections to that? Hearing none, that's what we'll do. We have a few appointments, the Emergency Communications District Board, better known as the 911 Board. These are, two people that are currently serving. This is just an extension of their terms, is that correct, Mayor?
Yes, sir, I believe so. And there are certain boards of the county that kind of just relay to me their members that they've chosen, like I think there's an agriculture committee that does the same thing, and I just relay those on to the county commission. I do believe these are just extension of terms of two current members.
And that is Tamara Wright, our postmaster, and that is by position, whoever the postmaster is serves on that board. Then we have one board position as Urban Services District board member, and that is Jerry Helm, is who the 911 board has had serving in that capacity, and has also recommended that he continue serving on that board for another term. We have a letter, if you look in your packet on the back of appointments from the 911 board asking that those people be confirmed. Moving on to resolutions. The first one you have is resolution 2019-24-671. This is a resolution to assign a signatory authority to the commission chairman and pro tem. This was talked about, agreed upon, I think in executive session many months ago, but for whatever reason never made it in the form of a resolution. The reason this has become important, the bank examiners and bank auditors are requesting that any signatures from government or any business type entities, that they have something from the minutes of the organization that shows that they have the authority to be signatories. So that's all that is, and that's just by, if the mayor is in his absence, it would allow me as commission chairman to sign county checks. If both of us are absent, it would allow the chairman pro tem, Bill Ferguson, to sign county checks. And like I say, this is something I guess we thought we'd done in past, and we got looking and we just never did bring it to a resolution. Anybody have any questions about that one? Okay. Next resolution is 2019-25672. This is a resolution to support Tri-County Electric Membership Corporation's Tennessee Broadband Accessibility Grant application. Part of the grant process is it helps with them in scoring these grants to have support resolutions from the governing bodies in their area. You also have a letter formatted, should have a letter. If you don't, we can get you one that you can send personally as a commission to support this as well. So the resolution is from the commission, and there's also, if you feel inclined to do it, a letter from you to the commissioner as a support of their grant application process. While we're on the Tri-County, I met last week with Paul Thompson and Tammy Dixon, and I've asked them for an update of where we were in Charleston County with the fiber. And I'll go over this a little bit now, and I'll go over it then and make sure that you have a copy of their report. Currently, there's over 800 locations in Trousville and southeastern Sumner counties that are connected and are online to their broadband service. You can now make the statement that you are a gig community. You have enough people in the community with gigabyte service to make that declaration. So Trousville County is now a gig community, which is something they make a big deal out of in Nashville. Well, we can make a big deal out of it here as well. Right now, there's 2,000 locations or 2,000 homes that did not have any broadband that now can have it if they choose to sign up for it. Most of the ones that have signed up for the service have went with the 50/50 speed, which is, I guess you'd say, the middle plan, not the bottom one, not the top one, but the one in the middle that they've offered. They're projecting that they'll have about 100 additional customers by the end of this year online, and a lot, they want to apply for another one of these broadband accessibility act grants. If they get that, they can do the build out even a little bit quicker than where they're at now. They're projecting completion of Trousville County by the spring of next year. They think within the next 6 to 8 months, they're going to be through with all areas of the county that they can legally serve. And they were and wanted me to relate how appreciative they are of all of us and our support with them in the past in making this happen. It's been an ongoing thing that we've worked on for a long, long time. And it's just, I don't know how many of you have it at your home. I do. And it's like a whole new world has opened up to me. It's like I'm in the 21st century all of a sudden. Really, really am proud to have it. Their take rate, overall take rate, I think they was right at 50% is where they were with it, and which is about average or a little bit above average on this type of a build out. So they're exceeding their expectations and their take. And they think as more people, a lot of people were under contract with DirecTV or something. Once they get out of their contract, they're gonna do it. I think it'll even increase more. Also, they haven't really aggressively solicited people to join up to it. And that's something that they, once they finish their build out, they will be a little bit more aggressive with their marketing on it. So that's kind of where we're at with Tri-County. I just wanted to give you that report, as well as this resolution, so that I figured they went kind of hand in hand, so we'd be able to do them together. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Moving on to budget amendments. All of these are fund balance draws. The first one was the EMS Director Vehicle 118 Ambulance Services Fund, Budget and Finance asked to defer that for another month, so we will postpone that till next month. Then the interfund transfers, just about all of these are monies that are coming in either from grants or insurance recovery, donations, and that's in the general fund and the school fund. So I've got information on all of those, and so does Mr. Ford. If you have any questions about any of those, I don't see any need going over them individually unless you have questions about them. The first one, the county clerk, was to buy new computer equipment. She has a reserve fund that's set aside for those things. So this is actually money coming in, money going out from one fund to another, but it has to be authorized in the budget. That was the $3,050. Sheriff vehicle repair was where they had, insurance had paid, and the money has to be brought in so that it can offset the expense to the vehicles. Archives received a grant for equipment, particularly mapping cabinets and things. Animal shelter, that was donations, where people had left a donation to the animal shelter. That's money coming in. Health services, same things, money coming in. The after-school program, money coming in, and where they want to spend it. It's just a kind of a flow through on all of these. There's none of them that's appropriating any new money out of our fund balance or anything in that respect. Do we have any questions on any of those? Not trying to gloss over them, just they're pretty simple and pretty explanatory in nature. We can take those individually, or we can take those all together Monday night if someone wants to make a motion to approve all of them, since we're not doing any allocation of any funds. Right now, we have one notary for this month. That is Deborah Sue Smith. And that's all I have. Anyone have any other business?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I just have a question. Do you want this or do we know it?
Can we turn all of it in the mayor's office and let them mail them, or we need to mail them ourselves? Can we let them support that?
Either way.
Mayor success
Either way. Okay, have a motion to adjourn. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
And you have a thing,
I need to talk to you about my water. You take it easy.
What?
I'm on the other end of the county. You need to talk to Tom.
That was not me, that was Tammy.
I guess, like I said, for me, it was,
Shane did it.
but like I said, I got out of it. And one thing I was part of my problem is too, like, airport.
He knows about
You know, like today, before I got appreciate you. This is my duty station. me, two pilots, and a flight engineer, Peter, and government dime.
Grant's
Fly
coming back
from here
home.
to say, Denver, Colorado, eat lunch, and then fly back. And log it as a nav. So you get to fly with your brain, or you can fly down the triangle, whatever, nice sunshine. So I missed that part. But again, I know as soon as I go back into it, I never will. That's why I got on the Navy. That's why I took early time when I came into office, one of E-789 downside the military off that river, traveling back. Just get back to the dentist school. It was my fifth one.
This has been, this has been.